My Magic 8 Ball says it's taking less time for homes to be sold once they're put on the market here in Utah now. How's it going, you guys? I'm Christopher McGee. I'm the owner of Halcyon Real Estate, affiliated with the Keller Williams Market Center in Salt Lake City, Utah. Today is the 3rd of March. Happy March. It'll be my birthday this month and my son's birthday, so it's a good time. You have come to the Numbers and the Nuance. This is where you come weekly in order to know exactly what Utah's real estate market is looking like. I haven't done a whole lot to make your view any more exciting. You know, there's my mug, and then I put a tree back here. I've got a couple other things, and I found that holding this mic will put the sound better into this film than if I stick it on my lapel like it's meant to be done. But we'll jump right into it. As always, I'll tell you my interpretation of the numbers that I'm pulling right off the MLS, and then I'll switch right over to showing you where I've plotted those numbers from the MLS in a multivariate analysis into charts so that you can see what the trends are looking like. Let's jump right in. Okay, so with increased seller and buyer activity in our housing market right now, as shown by the data I keep pointing out week over week of growing inventory, a growing number of homes being sold every week, and a growing number of homes that are under contract at any given time, we are now starting to see the amount of time it takes on average for a home to be sold once it's put on the market to come down. The data doesn't show that as a solid trend yet. I always give it 3 to 4 weeks minimum in order to say any movement in the market is a trend. We've just got the last couple of weeks of this data point coming down of how long it takes for homes to be sold once they're put on the market. My Magic 8 Ball says it's taking less time for homes to be sold once they're put on the market here in Utah now. That being the case, I'm also calling an end to the relatively short reprieve we saw in both average home prices and median home prices falling. We had a very moderate dip in prices. We had that trend since the beginning of the year until about now, and it's jumped up from where it was last week this week. Like I've said, that doesn't make a trend yet, but we're in March, and spring itself will bring an increased number of buyers and sellers into the market, let alone the fact that we've had an increase of buyers on our market here since the very beginning of 2025. Now don't worry, I'm not suggesting, I'm not seeing that home prices are about to jump up significantly. In fact, I don't know that they're going to jump up as a trend, really. I think they're probably going to stay fairly even for the foreseeable future, but I don't see them continuing to come down. Also good to know, as always, interest rates took another step down this last week. We're sitting at 6.7 something. We'll make sure of the exact number, but it's 6.7 something as of right now. Let's go ahead and check out these numbers. So here's where things are in the Utah housing market as of March 3rd, 2025. Our current inventory stands at 9,773, which is up from the prior week. That's continuing our uptrend. Now I know if you look at the graph, you just got to remember that the graph starts from the 4th quarter of last year, right? At the very beginning of the 4th quarter of last year, our inventory was significantly higher than it is now, and it looks like it's on a downtrend. You got to look at it from the beginning of this year, like a third to half of the way across that graph. You'll see it's got a consistent uptrend. Last week's average days on market came to 64. That's down from the previous week by 8 days on average. This is trending up, but like I said, this is the second week in a row that days on market has come somewhat sharply down. I call 4 weeks of movement a trend, like I said, so we'll see what happens, but I do think it will start to trend down. The prior week's average list price came to $705,779. That's up from the previous week. We're trending pretty level. Last week's average sold price came to $693,206. And so importantly, the difference between average list price and average sold price on our market right now comes in the buyer's favor still, to the tune of $12,573 last week. Importantly, the last week's median sold price is still significantly lower than average sold price. Median sold price this prior week came to $510,000, up from the previous week, but still significantly better than what is average. Am I right? Last week, the number of homes sold came to 587. That is trending down across this graph from Q4, as you can see, but trending strongly up from the beginning of the year, the last third of the graph. Number of homes we have currently under contract comes to 4,696. That is up a touch from last week, trending up from the beginning of the year. Last week's price reductions came to 961. That's up a jump from the previous week, showing the increased number of listings and the remaining tendency of many sellers to over overestimate the market value of their home. Last week, the number of listing contracts that were either canceled, expired, or withdrawn came to 427. That's up from the previous week, a relatively low upswing for the first of the month spike we normally see on this chart, showing seller confidence, relative seller confidence in their home being sold. And finally, interest rates right now are sitting at 6.74%. That's the last digit of that number, 6.74. Down a touch from the previous week for a consistent downtrend since the beginning of the year. We love to see it. So that is it for this week, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Remember, if you have any questions about this information or how I present it, feel free to hit me with those questions in the comments. I'm going to be happy to respond as always. If you or anybody you know is thinking to move in Utah in the coming months or this year, I'd love for you to reach out to me. I want to hit the easy button for you as much as possible. I want to make sure you know what the market looks like, what to expect in the course of any given transaction, but specifically what to expect in yours. And I want you to know how to win, whether I'm representing you as a buyer or seller or both. It's my job to make it as easy for you as possible and as anxiety-free as possible, because nobody loves to move, and I know that. And finally, of course, if you are the kind of person who wants to stay up on these numbers and understand what our market looks like, you're not going to find a better way to stay up on it for Utah's housing market than to hit that subscribe and stay up on it with me from week to week. I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching this time, guys. Bye-bye.